So, are you ready for reproductive histology? Because it's a lot, but we can do it. So we're going to be going over the reproductive system histology for men and women. So we're going to cover the testi, the ovary, and all of its goodness, and the uterus. So hang tight. Here we go. First, we're going to start with the one that I think is the easiest, okay, which is the histology of the testi. I went ahead and put our list here of all the things that we have to find, and we're just going to jump right in. So first, we're going to look at this slide here. This is a zoomed out version where we can see the tunica albuginea and just see it at a wider scale, or a more zoomed in scale, I guess you could say. So let me get my little pen. Okay. So this structure here, which is this thick layered deal, this is our tunica albuginea, our ta. And I find this by finding our apical surface. I say that every time. Apical surface here, and I'm looking for the outer edge. Find my big old layer, my big old chunk here, and I know that's my tunica albuginea. Now, past the tunica albuginea, we're going to find our seminiferous tubules, which we'll put in black. So that's just all these little circly, ovally things here, all throughout the testi. And if you can remember, this is where sperm is produced. Fun fact. Okay, so that's our STs. My S is a little funny. Our seminiferous tubules. Now we'll look at a different view of the seminiferous tubules, because we kind of have to get really in here to see all this stuff. So firstly, let's go ahead and find our Leydig cells, our Leydig. These are the cells that will be in clusters in between the seminiferous tubules. Okay, so these are our LDs. Our LDs. Okay, cool. LDs. Now, I remember these are our seminiferous tubules. Let's go in even further with this beautiful image. I was so proud of this because I was able to take this picture, and I love it because it looks so cool. It was my background on my computer for a while. Don't judge me, because nobody knew what it was anyway. But I changed it because now more people know what it is. Okay, so we have our LDs. Okay. Our Leydig cells. Can't call them LDs, but LDs. And then let's change our color here. We'll go with an orange. We're going to find the spermatozoa. So the spermatozoa are all right here. And what's cool is that, and I'm going to label this our SZs. There you go. Okay. What's cool is you can see the heads of the sperm here and then their tails. So these are all baby sperms that haven't got their tails yet. And then as they become spermatozoa, they get their tails, right? So they're trying. They're working towards being adults in the sperm world. The sperm world. I wonder what it's like to be in the sperm world. Probably not that cool. Okay. The next thing that we have to find is our Sertoli cells. So do you see the difference in between this region and this region? Good, because that's how you'll find your Sertoli cells. So these are our Sertoli cells. And I'll point them out over here too. Sertoli cells. These are Sertoli cells in this region. And right here. Okay. Let's do just one for good measure. We'll do one over here. Okay. Sertoli cells. So if you would like to look at, excuse me, this image or this one, or if you need to go back to any of these, just feel free to pause the video and take another look, because we're moving on to the big gun, ovarian histology. Okay, so this is our list of like the general stuff that we're going to find in the ovary. And then this is going to be our list for specifically for the follicle. Things in the follicle. Okay. So let's first just look at the ovary. This is completely zoomed out. We can see the whole ovary here. And the first thing that we're going to notice is the edge around this ovary, because, whoop, I don't know, my line's kind of crazy. This is your ovarian mesothelium. Our, okay, our ovarian mesothelium. The layer right below your ovarian mesothelium, I'm going to show you on here. So if you see this as ovarian mesothelium, right? This layer right under it would be your tunica albuginea. What a fancy word. So it would be like this layer here. Tunica albuginea, which is just the layer right under the ovarian mesothelium. It's not as thick as the tunica albuginea here, but it's still there. Okay. So now we're looking for the medulla. You can see the color difference, right? Just like any other medulla that we've ever found. But what's neat is the cortex here, which is all this area, is where we're going to find all of our follicles, our ovarian follicles, okay? So just remember, if you see an ovarian follicle in it, it's the cortex. Cortex. All right. We've hit this one, this one, this one, and this one. So now we're going to do our follicles. Let's start out with this picture here. Whoa, I skipped really far down. Okay. So you see these little babies up here that's close to the tunica albuginea and the ovarium mesothelium? What are you doing? These are our babies, which is the primordial follicles. Okay? So the primordial follicles start out as little babies, and then they grow into the other follicles they develop into different stages, okay, to reach the big adult mature one. So we have our babes right up here. Now, the next stage in the baby follicle's life is that he becomes a primary follicle. So the primary follicle, which I'm going to show you on this one because this one's a little bit easier to see. So this would be our primary follicle here. You notice he has started to get, I don't know why he's a he. I don't know why I turned him into a boy, but that's what he is. So he's got his nucleus in the center, and he's starting to accumulate these layers of granulosa cells right here, right? But he hasn't got a whole bunch of them like this guy, but he's getting there. He's trying. So he's growing. So that's our primary. Now, if you look at this image here, you can see this would be our primordial. Yeah, that's how you say that, Brittany. Primordial follicle. Okay. And then let's change colors. This guy here would be our primary follicle. Okay. I would say this one would be a primary follicle as well. This one too, I just don't know where the nucleus is in it, but whatevs. Okay. Let's see if I have another image here for a primary. This one is a primary. Yeah, this one's a primary. Just at different stages. You know what I mean? Because he's starting to grow and get those layers. So this might be a late stage primary. So I'll go ahead and point out to you this ring around here would be our zona pellucida. Okay. And here in the center is our oocyte. Okay. Then we have the granulosa cells here. Okay. And this part right here, which is just the outer layer, is becoming his theca. So when comparing the primary follicle to our secondary follicle right here, you can see that the secondary follicle is a little bit more developed, and he's starting to get one of these guys here, which is an antrum. This is a better picture here of our secondary follicle. So thank you, whoever you are, Jordan Locke, that put your image on Google for me to use. Okay. So let's go ahead. So this is our secondary. This is our primary. Okay. So the ovarian stuff is kind of a lot. I could have done a whole video. I could have done a whole video just on this, but whatever. So this layer all around here, this pretty pink one, this is our zona pellucida. What in the heck? Okay, zona pellucida. And that's a P, just in case you were concerned. Okay. And then you can see this little guy's zona pellucida too. Okay. No, we already used green. Let's use blue. Okay. So in our secondary one, we can find this ring of cells right around the zona pellucida. And this is our corona radiata, which is just our crown of cells. So think Burger King. Or don't think Burger King, just think crown of cells. If you want, whatever you want to do. It's your world. Okay. Whatever helps you remember it. So this here is our antrum. Remember, the primary guy over here doesn't have an antrum yet. But this one, he's a secondary one. And he's starting to get his. It's not as big as like the adult guy, Graphian, but it's still there. Okay. So then he has his granulosa cells, which are up in this region here. So all of these would be granulosa cells. Okay. And let's change colors one more again. Let's do this. This looks fun. Okay. So this here would be his theca. Do you see how the cells are going around? Whereas these over here are doing their own thing. These are clearly doing something else. Right here, you see? That's all theca. Theca, theca, theca. Like all up in here is this one's theca. See, his theca is kind of small because he hasn't grown that much. You know what I mean? Okay. So shooting back over to this guy, this would be his theca here. And then this would be his corona radiata here. Primary, secondary, mature. Okay. I have better pictures for the mature one though, like this one. Or let's use this one. Perfect. Okay. So this would be our mature follicle. Mature. Okay. So let's just point out the things on him. So of course we have our oocyte right up in here. Okay. We also have, I can't use purple, the slide is purple. Okay. We also have our corona radiata going around here, the cells around here. Below that, this little white region here, which is kind of hard to see, is the zona pellucida. So like right there, right there. This was your oocyte, zona pellucida. And then the cells around it is your corona radiata. Here would be your granulosa cells. And then your theca, which is huge. Do you see? This goes all the way out, which we can't even see the ending of his theca. It's pretty big. This is theca, this is theca, theca. All this is theca, theca. His antrum is very big. We already used this one. Let's use green. His antrum is huge, huge. When you compare it to the secondary follicle here, you see how little his antrum is, but then it eventually grows when he becomes mature and it fills pretty much all of the follicle space. Then the nucleus starts to squeeze down to one, or the oocyte, I'm sorry, squeezes down to like one side so that it can get ready to ovulate. So in this picture here, this one would be the mature one. So M for mature. This one would be your secondary one. I would say this is hard to see, but this would be your your primary one. And then of course you would have your little one right here. That would be your primordial. Okay. I just want you to really see the difference in these, or comparing them together, you know. Let's see. I thought I had, okay, so this would be your mature one. And then I would see this would be primary right here. It's hard to see these, you know. So we'll just go ahead. This would be mature. This would be the stage, like kind of like right before he gets to this point, or sorry. Excuse me, I have the hiccups, I feel like. Until he gets to this point, you know. But he's getting there. This is still mature, right? So we hit all of our things. So we're going to move on to the corpus luteum and the corpus albicans. So in the lab manual, this was like 2 different pages, but for the sake of our time, I just put them together into one slide. So we're going to be identifying the luteum and the albicans along with each of their cortex and medullas. Okay? So when we're looking at the structure here, right? This would be, I'm sorry, the ovary. This right here, all of this would be your corpus luteum. Huge. Okay? It's huge. So if you can remember, the corpus hemorrhagicum turns in, or let's start back. So when this guy here ovulates, his follicle then fills with blood and blood clots and turns into the corpus hemorrhagicum. Then it becomes the corpus luteum. And then the corpus luteum turns into the corpus albicans. Okay? So here's another picture of this luteum. And luteum, if you can see, is kind of like, in this stage of it, it's kind of like a squiggly outer layer here, right? Which would be considered your cortex. This area and here would be your medulla. But the whole thing is your corpus luteum. Here's another image of the corpus luteum. It's just different stages. And your corpus albicans, I always mix those words up, albicans turns into scar tissue eventually. So you can see albicans here and here. No, you can't. Just kidding. Let's erase that. Come on. Let me get another color. Here would be your corpus albicans, right there. On this one, you can see them right here, corpus albicans. Okay? All right. So the best thing with these, the albicans and the luteum, is to just look at as many slides as you can to try to see the different stages of each. Okay? But most of the time, this one to me looks like cotton candy. And then this one always looks like it's got something going on the outer edges. I don't know. That's just how I do it. I don't know. Okay, moving on. We're going to go to the uterine or uterus. Uterine histology, right? So we have two stages here. We have a proliferative stage and a secretory stage. Phase and stage, whatever word you want to use. I used them both. What gives? So then we have our layers and then our glands. You're going to be able to find the layers and glands in each phase. So no matter what phase you're in, either one of these, you will find all of these, right? Okay, cool. Let's move along here. First, let's just kind of figure out how we're going to figure out the phases. It's super easy. We're going to find these things called uterine glands, which are these bad boys, like right here, right? Okay. These are all uterine glands. Now, if they're slithering like a snake, they are the secretory phase. Okay? If they are not slithering like a snake, and they're kind of like long or short and straight, kind of, you know, like they're just doing like just a little bit, they're not doing a whole lot. This is going to be your proliferative stage or phase, whatever one you want to go with, remember, because you can do whatever one you want. Okay. So the glands here, as you can see, are slithering like snakes. So this would be the secretory phase here, secretory. And then when we're looking at these glands, they're not as much slithering like snakes. They're more short and kind of straighter than these, right? So this would be our proliferative stage. Okay. This is proliferative here because they're going straight. This is secretory because they're all crazy and doing their craziness things that they do. This stage here, take a second, pause the video, try to take a guess. But this is your proliferative stage. And I'm just doing this by looking at these glands. Okay. Boop. Which other ones do I have? Okay, here's another one. All right. Take a second, pause the video, see what you come up with. It's proliferative. This one here, secretory. Because we do have a couple like little ones that look like they could be straight, but they got some stuff like going on up in here. Secretory. Okay, what's this one? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. I would say this one's hard to see, but this one I would say is proliferative because I can see the ones here that are a little bit straighter. Looks like it's got some straightness going on, so I'll say this is proliferative. Okay. So now that we've figured out that, let's go back and do our layers. So I'll show you on this one. Or no, not this one. This is not the one I wanted to use. Sorry. This one. So let me just erase here. Okay. First thing that we're going to find is the Myometrium, which is going to be all this goodness here. Okay. So if you're finding your apical surface, this is going to be the area like furthest away. So like the darker, and to me, it's always a very dark region, pretty much. And it's huge. It's huge. Okay. Then we're going to have our endometrium. So do you see how this, I don't know, this area right here kind of starts to get a little crazy with its color changing? Let me erase that because that's going to bother me. Sorry. Okay. So we're starting to get a little crazy with our color change, right? All of this, so all of this is endometrium. Now, there's two parts to the endometrium. Okay. So I'm going to use this green here to divide your two parts. And really, all we're doing is looking for another color change. Okay. Where does this come? Okay, there you go. So we have this area here. So all of this is your stratum basalis. So this is where you're going to see the change from the myometrium, and then it looks still a little dark, but not as light as this. This is your stratum basalis. Now, from your stratum basalis to the apical surface here is your functionalis, because it's functioning. Okay. So like, I don't know, it's hard to tell on this one, but this would be your stratum functionalis here. And I would say that this is your stratum basalis. But I could be wrong because you can't really see the end of it. Okay. On this one, it's super easy to see. So we have our myometrium. We have our stratum basalis. Then we have our functionalis. So this would all be like functionalis here. And this would be stratum basalis. If I were looking on this one, this is all, this is all myometrium. Okay, myometrium. This would be your stratum basalis here, and then your stratum functionalis up in here. I don't know. That's a hard one too. I didn't pick really great slides, y'all. Okay. Myometrium from here to here. Okay, so from here back. I hope you cannot hear my dogs going crazy outside. They're out there getting all the intruders. That's what they're doing. Okay. So from here to here, I would classify as my stratum basalis. And then from here to here would be my stratum functionalis. And this is my apical surface here. So I know that my stratum functionalis is going to be closer. So that could help you too, maybe, you know? Okay, so that pretty much sums up our reproductive system histology. If you need to go back and pause the video and look at any of these slides again, be my guest. If you found this video helpful at all, please subscribe, like, share, comment, leave me some feedback, and it only takes a second to hit the like button. That will help my YouTube algorithm so that we can get more people over here to view my videos. Thanks again. Have a good night.